The wealthy should pay their fair share.
Yes, wealthy should pay their fair share.
What is a fair share? What percentage?
So you're saying that you're saying that they're paying their fair share is what you're saying?
No, I'm asking what percentage is a fair share?
Their fair share, the same, if a third of my money is going to taxes, then I think a third of their money should be going to taxes. It does. Well, it does.
I'm trying to understand because you realize the effective tax rate on the poor is less than it is on the rich, right?
Okay, so first of all, I'm not the poor. I'm very close to that line, but I'm not the poor.
Okay, so the effective tax rate on the middle class is less than it is on the rich, correct? What fair share would you like to change the tax rate to on the wealthiest what percentage of Americans so it's a fair share?
So let's say the wealthy 1% could pay, let's say if they paid, let's just give them 45%.
Welcome to the Standard of Truth podcast, where we discuss all things social, cultural, political, and theological from a biblical perspective. Well, the news is out, y'all. It's official. Cori Bush has lost her primary. Now, Cori Bush, she is the progressive, incompetent, defund the police for you, but not for her. A ratchetang congresswoman who spent a whole lot of time race baiting and being unnecessarily aggressive and absolutely useless in Washington, representing the 1st District of St. Louis, Missouri. Now, for some strange reason, Cori Bush, along with a few other of her contemporaries, such as the big homie, Thug Fizzle himself, Jamal Bowman, has found themselves on the losing squad, getting their behind spanked and losing their respective primaries because people are just tired and exhausted from listening to their illogical, emotionally charged, baseless rhetoric. I want you guys to take a listen to what the good folks of the 1st District of St. Louis, this is what they have freed themselves from. Well, hopefully, maybe, not really, I don't know, but take a look at this.
There is no evidence that government spending or executive orders by President Biden have increased inflation. The president and congressional Democrats have taken steps to enact policies, not studies, not reports, but actual tangible policies and dollars delivered to our communities to lower costs for regular everyday people. Yet, we understand still much more work remains. St. Louis and I rise today in opposition to this central resolution and also in opposition to the reckless manner that people in this House speak when they don't realize or don't care that they put targets on the backs of actual people, most of whom are black and brown, because of a lack of care and a lack of understanding and a lack of seeing the humanity of folks who look like Rashida Tlaib. It's outrageous that my colleagues are blatantly attempting to silence the only Palestinian American representative right here. It's outrageous, but it's not surprising. And let me tell you, it's not surprising because this place is where 1,700 members of Congress, this elected body, enslaved black people. It's not surprising because they thought it was right. It's not surprising because this is a place where members continue to claim that the insurrection on the Capitol just appeared to look like a normal tourist visit. It's not surprising because this is the place where our black and brown staff members repeatedly speak of experiencing racism and sexism, Islamophobia, get pushed off of elevators, xenophobia, and more right here in this workplace. This is the place. And let me say this. She mourns for the 1,400 Israelis.
The gentlelady's time has expired.
She mourns for the 10,000, and she will not stop. No
the gentlelady's time has expired.
Ceasefire now. And she takes the death threats that you all send that they
The gentlelady is no longer recognized. The gentleman from Maryland.
To her, the desire to save lives is greater.
Gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
That's what I said.
As you can see, I told you guys, these are ratchetangs. These female imbeciles cannot manage their misery. Now, I know Cori is an asthmatic, and you could hear a little bit of the wheezing when she really started to get off into it on the floor. But if you look at Rashida Tlaib's face, even in her face, she's like, oh, wow, you a piece of work. Like, they get on each other's nerves. But anyway, I just thought that was an observation. She had like this old, raspy Baptist preacher hoop thing going on, and it was just, when her time was up, she didn't want to stop. If they would have let her keep going, she would have. I find it interesting that these types, rarely can they ever restrain themselves. But in that clip, as you guys can see, St. Louis, they have had to deal with this woman for a number of years. All of her aggressive, unhinged, racially charged rants, they've had to deal with those for a good little while. But this woman, she has accomplished absolutely nothing for her district, but rather she loves to pontificate and get loud on the floor, drawing unnecessary attention to herself and accomplishing nothing. She's just radicalized, but not for good, but rather she's more of an agent of chaos for evil, in my opinion. Now, although I am actually glad to see another obsessively woke squad member just bite the dust, the purpose of this video today is to highlight what I believe are some of the weird, yes, that word is in now, some of the weird and outlandish and just downright false claims that Cori Bush made that makes her of particular interest to me. You see, I'm a Christian, so on this channel, anytime someone attempts to invoke the name of God or the power of God working through them, or so they say, my ears perk up. And so I believe that discernment, it needs to be the spidey sense of all born-again believers. And so, yes, we have to review Cori Bush, not just in light of the fact that she lost her race, but we need to take a look at her in light of the fact that bad doctrine and unbiblical practices tells you a lot about a person. And on the basis of what I am about to show you alone, Cori Bush should have never been deemed any sort of credible politician or religious figure. I'll say that. She's a charlatan and a fraud, and I get it. Usually people, well, put it like this. I'm not going to make excuses for the mainstream media because they do this because they love protecting their own. If you're in the kingdom of darkness, even if someone else claims to be in the kingdom of light, they will protect their own. But what I'm about to show you is, you'll see, but you're going to notice that a lot of people on the left, when they have to deal with the weird from the left, they don't push back or try to hold these people accountable for any of the claims that they make. And so when someone like a Cori Bush will make an uneasy or unverifiable claim of a religious nature, the people interviewing them, they don't want to be viewed as a religious hater, because then they'll get called racist, because that's the trump card that they always get laid out on the table anyway. And so I find it interesting that people have no problems mocking God or mocking Christians. But it's usually the false teachers and the false professors. They are allowed to make their bold and retarded claims. And then the world just kind of gives them a pass and accepts them and embraces whatever they say as bona fide fact. So Ms. Bush, she's not only a defeated Congresswoman, but I need to let you guys know that also on her resume, she has the title of pastor. Now, y'all know exactly how I feel about women and spiritual authority over men in the church, but that's another conversation for a different day. The purpose of this video is I just want to highlight how a person's doctrine, it does indeed impact how they live their lives. So, for example, there's this saying that says our orthodoxy, meaning our right belief or doctrine that we hold to, impacts our orthopraxy, meaning our right doctrine leads or impacts right living. So let me first show you guys. I want to show you guys the outlandish claims that Cori Bush made, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to flesh out exactly what I mean.
Democratic Congresswoman Cori Bush said that she healed a homeless woman's tumors with her hands during an interview from 2 years ago that is now just getting some attention. Let's watch.
You're a pastor.
Yes.
You write about healing through faith. At one point, you came across a woman with, quote, several visible tumors on her torso. Tell me what happened.
So at that time, I, along with a group of friends, we would go out on the street and just meet with people and pray with people and offer them food. And this lady came to us and she had these tumors. I mean, she wanted us to like feel them. And I just remember I put my hand on her and my hand just began to move. And the lumps that were there were no longer there. And she was so happy and she like went on about her day.
Conservative political commentator Matt Walsh of the Daily Wire reacted on X, saying Cori Bush, sitting U.S. Congresswoman, claimed to have supernatural powers to heal cancer with the touch of her hand. It's easily one of the most outlandish claims ever made by an American politician in the entire history of this country, and yet the journalist expresses no skepticism whatsoever. Richard Hanania, president at the Center for the Study of Partisanship and Ideology, responded to Bush's statements. Look how the interviewer asks respectful follow-ups. Imagine the freak out if MTG said she was a faith healer. Cue the misinformation experts. This is pathetic. So this interview is 2 years old and comes from based on a book, a memoir that Cori Bush had written that sold very few copies. So I think people just miss that she writes extensively in the book about using her faith-healing powers to cure people's ailments. In addition to the woman whose tumors shrank after touch, there was a 3-year-old child who couldn't walk, who was able to walk after a hug from Cori Bush. This interview went viral again on social media and was commented on, so this is why we're talking about it now.
So you guys, in this interview, Cori Bush is asked to tell about the time that she healed a lady of cancerous tumors on the spot. Now, Cori has detailed a few of these accounts in her book that nobody read, but somebody read it enough to report on it. And I want you guys to hear me and hear me clearly. I don't want you guys to walk away from this video thinking that I don't believe that Yahweh, the God of the Bible, does not heal today. That is not my position. I believe that the Lord is sovereign and he can do whatever he wants, when he wants, however he wants. So yes, God still heals today. That's not up for question, nor is it up for debate. The question, though, that is being presented today is Cori Bush really out here healing cancer on demand? Right? Like, is she making the lame walk? Y'all, this fraudulent, disgraced Congresswoman, she knows good and darn well that she need to stop the cap. Like, she has healed no one, and she does not possess the gift of healing in her hands on demand like the apostles did. Now, I know that, politicians and having gifted hands, such as a Ben Carson, that's a little different. Like, I believe that the Lord uniquely gifted him with a skill that allowed him to bring about the healing of some conjoined twins, but that's through vigorous training, study, and through just sheer God's providence. But this is not that. This woman is claiming that when I just lay my hands on the tummy, the tumors, they just go away, right? Or she claimed that when she hugged, the little girl just gave her a little hug, that the Holy Ghost power, the anointing is so thick off and through her that this lame little 3-year-old who could walk before is now walking all of a sudden. Y'all, she has healed no one, okay? She does not possess the gift of healing in her hands on demand like the apostles. She claims the name of Christ and then claim to be an agent of his healing power. I'm sorry, but isn't it funny? Isn't it funny that these spiritual frauds, they can never show proof of their claims? Like, they want you to have this blind faith and just believe what they say. Forget who they are and what they do and what they believe. Just believe, right? They just want you to believe that I healed a woman on demand of cancer because I said so. But my question is, where is that lady today? Where is the 3-year-old lame little girl who's walking, leaping and hopping and dancing and praising God? Listen, Cori Bush does not have the Spirit of God, and she's not operating through the power of the Holy Spirit, right? Like, she's definitely operating in a spirit, but it's not the Spirit of Christ. Now, how do we know this? Because Cori Bush, along with other members of the squad, I am arguing that they don't represent Christ because they're avid supporters of the womb assassination. This woman is just as bloodthirsty for babies in the womb as AOC and Hillary Clinton and, yes, Kamala Harris. It's what their entire platform is built on. How do you advocate the things that the Lord hates and then claim that you love him and his word? She wants abortion on demand. She isn't led by the Spirit of God. If so, she'd be an advocate for what is good and righteous, and she'd be advocating for the unborn, not trying to snuff out their lives in the womb. And she definitely wouldn't be aiding and abetting other women to do likewise. But not only that, she's an avowed socialist, right? She is of the gospel of free. Right? She loves the idea of taking from the rich to give to the poor. Now, she ain't trying to give to the poor, but she wants you to take your hard-earned money and give it to the poor without the doctrine, the healthy doctrine of work. If a man doesn't work, he doesn't eat. There's a healthy doctrine of work that says a man that doesn't work, he doesn't eat. Now, that doesn't mean we don't care for the poor, the orphan, and the widow. But the idea of socialism, wealth redistribution, you cannot build a case for that biblically. So as you can see in the opening clip, she can't quite explain exactly what that should look like with this tax the rich paradigm she's got going on. She don't know how it's going to look, how it's supposed to work. All she knows is that the poor people need to be taken care of by the rich, not her, other rich people. And at the math, it doesn't have to make sense. The math ain't got the math, but you should vote for it because any other position would be, I don't know, racist. See how it works? We talking about money and economics, and now racism is brought into the discussion. This woman just walks around with all of this hatred in her heart. And it's not hatred for the things that the Lord hates, but it's hatred for her fellow man. It comes out in every emotionally charged, unfounded claims of cries of racism against anyone or anything that she doesn't like. Or if you don't agree, it's racist. Not to mention that. But her support for wanting to defund the police, yet she has no problem spending your money on private security for herself because it's always do as I say, not as I do. I can have armored security, right? But when you call the police, we're not going to send somebody that's armed and dangerous to restrain the lawbreaker. We're going to send a social worker because you need a social worker, but I need someone that's armed and dangerous to protect me. See how that works? But here's the synopsis of it all. Cori thought that she was untouchable. She thought she was this untouchable, faith-healing, social justice advocating career politician. But the people of the 1st District of St. Louis, they have spoken up and they are speaking loud. Now, they claim they don't want more of this foolishness because they know that she's a fraud and a charlatan. But I'm not quite sure exactly who they voted in her place. If it's another progressive, extra woke liberal Democrat, they're going to get more of the same repackaged in a different person. But listen, they know that she's out to do things that are only going to improve her life. And they already know that she's not going to do anything to improve the lives of the people that she's supposed to represent. So they voted her out. Now, to add insult to injury, she's a fake self-proclaimed faith healer. That's why I was interested in her. That just wants you to believe her outlandish claims of healing a woman on demand of tumors. Despite there being zero proof that such a healing occurred, despite the fact that her doctrine and what she believes done in line, aligned with the scriptures at all. Like, listen, nobody believes such tomfoolery, lady. They don't. Cori's not a pastor. And in fact, she's not a congresswoman anymore either, thank the Lord. But this woman is indeed an emissary of Satan that will use faith and politics as a grift to the top. Even if she's not that good at it, she gonna try anyway. But what do you guys think? I want to hear, what do you guys think? Do you actually believe that she healed that woman and just after hugging the little 3-year-old, the little 3-year-old started leaping and dancing and praising God and just walking? Right? Or do you believe, nah, she's a fake and a phony? And it's the bad doctrine that spells out and leads into the practical application of her bad living. But whatever you guys think, I'm curious to hear from you. Leave me a comment down below. Until next time, grace and peace.